you got to have an end game. What's the end game? What do you want to be like? I know we have one shot at this lifetime. One. We don't know how long it's going to be, right? So I want to be the best version I can be while I'm here.
Welcome to Self-Made and Sober. I'm your host, Andrew Lassis with selfmade-coaching.com. And in this podcast, it's my job to interview people who are not only crushing it in business, but have also struggled with addiction in the past and are in long-term recovery. Be sure to join our Facebook group where we help entrepreneurs grow and scale their business at facebook.com/groups/SMC Mastermind, like Self-Made Coaching Mastermind. I hope you enjoy the show, and be sure to subscribe and rate the show afterwards so you can get notified each Friday when we put out a new episode. And with me today is Octavio Cifuentes. I said it right. That's Nicaraguan, isn't it?
Yeah, man. How'd you know?
Yeah, it's like I cut out the first part where I guessed the wrong one.
It's all good. It's all good. It's fantastic.
Octavio, you want to give the listeners a little background on who you are and what companies you're part of?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So my name is Octavio, like you said earlier, and I am one of the co-owners here at FTX Wellness in Boca Raton, Florida. I'm also one of the founders of Recovery Through Repetition here in Boca Raton, soon to be launched in Pennsylvania and California. So yeah, that's mostly what I do. We're actually about to launch a supplement line as well. So, just moving forward, evolving every day, man.
So owning FTX isn't enough. Recovery Through Repetition isn't enough. Supplement line isn't enough. Is it safe to say that you suffer from a malady where what you have isn't enough? And has that ever played a role in your life?
I think we had this conversation yesterday. Nothing is enough, right? I love creating. I love being an entrepreneur. And it's funny because I always thought that the dream for me was owning a gym. That's it. I was like, man, I need to own my own gym and I'll be set. Right. And then, of course, that dream happened. I reached that goal and it just keeps evolving. Opportunities keep opening up. And of course, for me, I love the excitement of something new. And, yesterday during our men's meeting, and I said it in my shares, like, I love taking the fun out of everything I love and seeing what else I can do with it, And
just squeezing everything you can get out of everything that you like.
Exactly. And you know what the worst thing is? I didn't even invent that. I have a podcast as well. And one of my guests was like, hey, this is it. This is what I do. My wife says this. I was like, oh my God. And then I mentioned it to my wife. My wife told me 2 weeks later, she's like, see, you do that too. And then yesterday I heard a share. I was like, man, so everybody's telling me the same thing, right? I love something new, the next great thing. And then I squeeze everything out of it. I see what I can do. And then all of a sudden another opportunity opens through that. And then I go all out in that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I have that disease of never enough.
Seeing that you're on the show, we all seem to have a common affliction of we found something in the past that maybe wasn't good for our well-being that we took and started doing more and more, and maybe consequences happen. What's your experience look like in the drugs and alcohol field?
Wow, man, it's a sad one. I'm not going to say that, I ended up in jail or anything like that. I should have. Absolutely. I found alcohol and drugs when I was 13 years old. I was living in a third world country where, we could go to bars at 14 years old and I'm 15 years old. I come from a long line of alcoholics. I was warned by my family that genetically I was predisposed to this disease. But of course, as a 14-year-old, that's not going to happen to me. I was privileged enough to go to school at Louisiana State University, and I started flourishing into the alcoholic and drug addict that I really was. I went back home. I lied to my parents and my family that I had graduated for years. I went home and I didn't feel good enough to who I was, and I started drinking and drugging. So basically, I got kicked out of a country, my man. I don't know how many people could say that, but yeah, I was asked to leave a country. So I'm not going to get into my war story, but war stories for me is like, hey, everybody, we've had them. I just say I was kicked out of a country. I came to the States 10 years ago with $600 in my pocket, 2 days sober, and started my journey from there. Now, I'm not saying it's been a great journey. I had a huge relapse here in my home group, so I've shared my story with you, and I had a huge relapse, and after 10 years, I found myself in rehab last November. But it's been the greatest thing that's going to happen to me. The amount of blessings I've had since I went back to rehab in November, as a 40-year-old man, I'm going to start crying out just thinking about it, man. My wife was pregnant. We've been trying to have a kid for 3 years. I know you're a father, so you know how that feels. Business is doing better than ever. I'm more focused in everything I do. And I love who I am again. And that's crazy. I found, I thought, I was blessed enough that I had all the blessings and the promises come true really, really fast in my sobriety the first time around. And this time I pray for slow promises, but unfortunately, hey, 2 months sober. Guess what? You're pregnant. Oh, man. Okay, so if that doesn't get you in check, hey, buddy, your business is blowing up, and guess what? Your nonprofit is spreading like wildfire because you're sober, because of your passion, because of this. And how am I supposed to live my life? And I try to get better every day if I'm not sober, because my disease won't allow me to, And especially being an entrepreneur, it's not that 9 to 5 thing. It's, I'm a wackadoo. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, create habits, and I'm the first one in the gym, and I'm usually the last one out. It's just who I am.
What are some of the habits and routines that you have as far as your morning goes?
They've been evolving ever since, but in rehab, I went back to basics, man. I wake up at 5:15 every day. Every day. It does, even if it's Sunday and I can sleep in, I can't sleep past 5:15. It's a sad thing. But I wake up and I hit my knees straight up. If I know I miss hitting my knees, something's not going to be right for the rest of the day. 2, you're going to laugh. And my wife actually laughed at me, but I started using the Calm app for some meditation because my head just flies. I've been meditating. There's 5-minute meditations. There's 10-minute meditations. I'm up to 17 minutes. And that seemed like a lifetime before, but it's really calming, man. I do that. I hit my prayers. I actually speak to my dad that passed away 10 years ago and ask for guidance. And that's it, every day. And I also believe, for me, I know that working out sets the tone for my day. It's me time. I don't have a lot of it, so I get into the gym early. I get to work on myself physically, and that's what I'm doing.
And do you think having a good routine in the morning that you get your own time has played a big role in your recovery and in the success in your business?
Dude, I cannot emphasize how important it is for me. Routine for me, it's so effective for me that when I travel or when I have to, like when I travel with my wife, and that's a big thing we do together for our relationship, she knows how important it is for me, right? So she'll wake up at 7. She's an early bird too, but I'm gone. All right. I'm in the gym. There's a must that in every hotel, wherever we're at, has to have some kind of gym, because that makes me whole. I know I have to have my quiet time. I know I'm always reading something. And if it's not recovery based, it's more like self-help and involvement. I truly believe that I have to work on myself daily and keep myself. If I'm not moving forward, I'm moving backwards. And the biggest thing for me this year has been really letting go of my mistakes. Mistakes happen. They're in the past. And I know I struggled with that for years. Just not letting go. It's a self-imposed prison. And everyone I talk to is like, dude, it's no one's judging. Just let it go. And you know how heavy it is to. We've all made mistakes, but there's lessons. There's lessons learned of where I went. Where I went wrong. I met you at the Wednesday night meeting. 5-6 years ago when it was six of
Yeah.
us, and it grew into like 50 guys sweating and uncomfortable. But it was the coolest meeting ever, right? And that was the place to be every Wednesday night. If you weren't there, you weren't cool.
Yeah.
And
If you are not at the cool meeting, you are not cool.
right. And then and then it evolved, and then it's these celery men's, man. I know for a fact for me, I can't go to mixed meetings. I'm just not good at them. I pay attention. I know that men's meetings for me, I could bare my soul and I won't be judged. There's entrepreneurs there. There are just guys with some really deep time and sober thoughts. And yesterday I said it, I feel home. I feel home in men's meetings. Mixed meetings, I'm still a little introvert, and I could be the chameleon, that I could be the greatest guy on the planet, but I won't feel comfortable. And that's where I come to life.
Yeah, I think there's a good level of the comfortability in the men's meeting where maybe you're not trying to think so much about like if I share and I say something that I'm going to look cool for that person over there. Like for myself, when I share, it's very much just this is my experience and hopefully someone will get something out of it. And you had touched on, and I'd like to go back a bit, that you do a lot of reading. Is there anything in the past year or two that you've come across that's had a really big impact on your life?
Man, it depends, man. So like I said, I love, there's some deep books that I still can't wrap my mind around, like Sermon on the Mount, I just can't, it's all fear-based, but I'm like, dude, that's too deep for me. As an entrepreneur right now, I'm reading something really, really cool. It's called Man Up by BK, Bedros Koulian. And that's not even a shameless plug. I mean, this guy just puts it in straight. He's in the same space as I am in health and fitness. He owns probably the fastest growing franchise in the United States when it comes to gyms. And this guy he's an immigrant. He's done it all. But everything that I read that's really impacted, I always take a little snippet of everything I do. I don't know if you guys have read Life of Purpose. Check it out. The Monk That Sold His Ferrari, another good one. Way of the Warrior. And I really love, I don't know if you guys have ever read Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist. Check it out. And I think he's done a couple of ones that are really good that I read. I can't read these thick 300-page books. He had 400-page books, so I try to keep them under 200 pages just to keep moving,
Yeah, and I think reading and self-improvement, it's one of those things that I know for myself, like I could get addicted to, and it's that type of personality where like the drinking wasn't really the problem. It was my personality of I take something that I like, and then it was like, you know what I like to do? Read. And then it was like 100 books later, and it was like, oh, I could tell you everything about all these books.
I like to walk with a book bag full of books. That's what I want to do. So then you'll trail run for 100 miles, and then you get into that and then you burn that out. Dude, that's my life. As an entrepreneur, dude, I really recommend Mastering the Rockefeller Habits. I don't know if you've read that one.
It's literally next on my Audible.
Man, that is legit. And also Scaling Up. Check that out. That's a really good one. And, it's just, I love that kind of stuff. I really do. And if it's not, I love Netflix like anybody else. It's just, I realized this thing this year that, and I'm from all future or, current dads, like personal time and TV time are going to get cut out really, really quick. So I've been trying to train myself that, it's going to go away. So I've been reading and that's what I'm into now,
What I've gotten in my 5-6 months of fatherhood has been very much it's basically a perpetual, everybody else has already had kids, and then they tell you, just you wait until this thing happened. So like, and now I find myself doing it too. Like we met our neighbors across the street, and they've got a 3-month-old, and ours is 5 months. And then it's like, oh man, like, do you do anything that like you can make him laugh? Like with my son, like if you clap his hands together, like he starts laughing. And he's like, oh no, like I don't have anything that like I can just make him laugh. Like sometimes he smiles, and I'm like, oh man, once he laughs, it's the best. And then other people, I was talking with Josh, and he's like, oh, once they start crawling, it's a whole different world. And then other people, oh, once they start walking, it's a whole different world. But everyone pretty much ends it. Just wait till they become teenagers and they suck. That's that's what I gather from having a kid. It's everything's great until they're teenagers, and then you just do it again and get a small one.
Man, I'm excited. I used to be scared about what's coming on, but I'm really excited about fatherhood. It's funny. I have the opportunity to meet a lot of people in my realm as a personal trainer or as a coach. And one of my clients is like, hey, I have 4 kids. They all are 30 to 20. And whoever said that parenting is over at 18 is a lie. Because I got to leave for the next 4 weeks because 2 of them are moving out. I got to go set up their apartment. Another one is having their tonsils put out. I got to go take care of him. And she's like, what happened to 18 and then they leave? They're 30 and I'm still helping them. I was like, that's what my mom says about me,
That's great.
It is, man. It's what we've prayed for. It's funny, if you look back at everything I've prayed for the last 3 years, I was like, oh my God, I need to get back into the rooms. God, I need, I would love to be a father. And all this and everything is happening, and it all comes back to what? Faith, man. Faith.
Yeah, faith has played a huge role in my recovery as well. And do you just have faith in the recovery department, or does it play a role in everything?
So for me, if I don't have faith in everything, you don't really have faith. And that's my opinion and my opinion only, right? So I come from a huge Catholic-based family. I'm Latin, Roman Catholic, and my mom goes to church twice a day and prays for an hour a day, besides those 2 hours that she's at church. So for me, when I was old enough to say I don't want to go anymore, I just walked or stepped away from the church. My sister, on the other hand, when she saw me getting at my worst with my alcoholism and my drug addiction, she stepped away from that party life and all, and really grew closer to the church. And she's super religious as well. Very, very strong Catholics. I'm a non-practicing Catholic. I find God in the rooms and everything else. I really pray every morning for myself, my family, this country, this world, everybody that's sick and suffering and everything else. So I really believe that in my life, faith is everything. And it's crazy because look at the field I'm in. It's about results and tangible results. And faith for me, how do you prove it? How do you have these conversations with people that are, my clients are multimillionaires, or, some of them are billionaires, and they're like, well, I don't have faith, but I've done this on my own. I was like, man, that's amazing. But I know I'm at my best when I'm lined up with God's will.
Yeah. And for me, with my experience with faith, when I first came in, and they say you have to have a God of your understanding, a higher power, I wasn't really I didn't really believe that anything would work, but I was willing to prove that it didn't work, which the opposite of that is I was willing to do whatever it took. And so in order to prove that it didn't work, I jumped in 100%. And for me, I'm very much results oriented. I'm very much a person that values, if you can put a number on something, then it counts. And if you can't put a number on something, then you're just talking about nothing. And the unfortunate thing with faith is that there isn't a set, well, if you pray for 5 minutes, you're going to get like 80 prayer points. And if you pray for 10 minutes, you get 97. And with 97, that's when you start landing big clients. Like there's no direct correlation. It's very much just I've just kind of changed it from levels and measuring to just, as much as I hate things that aren't quantifiable, just a feeling. And I know when I'm letting go, when I am letting the universe unravel how it's supposed to. I know when I am trying to take control. And sometimes I need to take a step back and take an objective look at my life and say, am I acting in faith or am I acting in fear? Am I letting the universe play out how it's supposed to? Or am I deciding what needs to happen and then forcing my will on everybody else? And all of the big opportunities that I've had in my life, and we've had companies that we acquired 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 customers in one fell swoop that fell into my lap. And then other times where I've been fighting tooth and nail for a couple $100 on someone that I don't even want to do work with. I just decided I need to do this, and I'm going to send 1,000 email follow-ups, call them every day for an opportunity that I told myself that I wanted, that turns out I didn't actually want. But once I've let go and say, you know what, I'm going to let this play out however it's supposed to play out, then that person calls me and says, I want to restructure everything so that it's in your favor. I recognize that I've been a brat in this negotiation and that I want to give you everything you want and then some. And it always happens exactly when I let go.
Letting go, dude, as you know, I used to make fun of all the signs on, on our walls in our home, like going like, God, this too shall pass. I'm like, these things. And all of a sudden,
it's not real.
It can't be real. It doesn't work. And all of a sudden, you start letting go. And you're like, man, I really don't control anything, right? I can control how I react to everything else. Like, man, I'm going to give you a quick example of my last week. And this is crazy because my partner is a normie. Right, he's a doctor and he's super pragmatic and he's the biggest optimist on the planet. He's like, oh man, we have unicorns in the sky and we're gonna live there and everything's gonna be great. I'm the other guy. I'm like, we work hard to get up there, right? But it doesn't exist. You got to keep working. So we're a perfect yin and yang. But yesterday comes up, he's like, Oct, I don't know what happened in the last 2 weeks, but your mental shift has been amazing. Everybody you had beef with or resentment or anything else that was holding us back with some other stuff, you have sat down, just do a nice step. Basically, I was like, hey, what was my fault? What was my attitude? How can I make this right? And all of a sudden, the floodgates of opportunity became open. And it's insane how just letting go of this false power or control that we all think we have is just basically a wall, keeping you from what the universe really wants. It's crazy. Like, I made an amends to a friend of mine that I thought he was mad at me when I was mad at him, and I created these stories. I was like, hey man, what's going on? How do we make this right? I approached it like, hey, how can I make this right? I'm sorry if I did anything wrong. How can, and he's like, dude, this is just storytelling in your head. I was like, man, you're right. I'm sorry. And then during a negotiation, how do I do this with, one of our biggest contracts here? And they're like, you know what? You're right. We should have done this, this, and this. I just told them how I felt instead of being resentful. I'm like, hey guys, I really don't feel that, you made me feel really awkward the other day that when I was in this office. I just want to start off with that because I don't want to have a resentment towards you guys because we've been working together for over 3 years. And they're like, man, that's really good because we wanted to apologize because that was never our intention. And then everything opens from there, and that's program. If you look at it, we go into AA or we go into like the 12 steps looking for a way to stop drinking and drugging, right? To stop getting into trouble, to stop hating myself, to stop letting myself down. And then you find this way of life. Like I tell this story all the time that I became a man when I was 30. I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to clean. I still have a phobia of going to the supermarket. I had to ask my sponsor, a grown, sorry for cursing, a grown ass man, asking him, hey, can you teach me how to do laundry? Right? Because I didn't know. Right? How do you admit that? I'm sorry. I just never learned how to do laundry. I don't know how to go into a supermarket because I feel overwhelmed because there's too many choices. But I was too proud. My ego was too proud to let anybody know. I just didn't know. And there's still things I
How
don't
do you
know.
get over that? Do you just go through the fear?
Dude, lately and everything I've been learning is fear is the biggest it's like stress, man. And people are like, oh, I'm just so stressed. But what are you stressed about? Is it a fear of the unknown? Is it fear about what the outcome is? And if you're fearing the outcome, where's the faith in that? Where's your doing? Are you doing the right thing? So now I base everything as in I'm going to face everything that's uncomfortable from an angle of how I believe I should be acting that God wants me to. I pray every morning to say, hey, God, let them see you through me. Right. And then I try to align myself with that. It's crazy how applying all my self-imposed fears have been going away slowly. And it's not my time. And you know that, and I know that. On our time, we would have had an instant gratification 20 years ago, right? Or, hey, man, I'm praying for this. I need this deal to come by. I need to sign this contract today. And then the contract stays in limbo for like 3 months. And all of a sudden, you get a call. He's like, hey, man, I'm sorry. I've had a lot of personal stuff going on. The company wasn't ready back then, but we would love to move forward. When I thought I did something wrong or I was too aggressive, it's stuff like that. It's not on my time. And that's basically the hardest thing as an entrepreneur to really fathom. Now, I'm not saying as an entrepreneur, you can't have goals, because I think I truly believe all goals are measured, right? I know you're a numbers guy too. I quantify everything. I have my goals. I have weekly goals, monthly goals, quarter goals, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm very goal oriented. But those I can achieve through work. And if I cross them off slowly. Big audacious goals, it's just one day at a time. Everything is one day at a time. Some days, I have a staff of 34 people. I want to choke half of them sometimes. And sometimes they want to all choke me. They complain about me like, oh, man, he's on a rampage today.
Yeah, but don't they know how important you are? Don't they know who you think you are?
That's what I tell them. I was like, guys, don't you understand that I believe I am crazy? So if I'm acting crazy, the guys that I've been around with for like 7 years are like, you're having one of those days, huh? I'm like, oh yeah. And they're like, all right, we're going to step away for a while. Do you need a coffee? Because everything you say is non-void today, right? I'm like, yep, don't take it personal. Right?
Yeah. I used to have days where I would just tell my employees, it was like, we had payroll. I think we've changed the days, but it was whatever day I see the number for payroll. Don't talk to me after that. And then don't talk to me the next day when the direct deposit comes out of the bank account. And then don't talk to me the day after when I start freaking out because I think that everything's going to go to crap and that nothing will ever work. Like, talk to me 3 days after that, and then
3 days before, 3 days after payroll. I feel you, brother. Everything as an entrepreneur, it's like, guys, why don't you guys understand? We don't know if we're going to make it. I never get paid. No. And these are the things, and we suffer it. But guess what? I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I try to look back at if I were to go back and work for somebody else, and I've just on the side, I've done partnerships with people, and I was having a discussion with my wife the other day, and I was like, I realized that I'm not even good at being a partner. I'm good at, if it's a team and a collaboration, I can get behind that, but I have those issues. As much as I don't want to admit that I have control issues, I've seen the benefits of letting go. I've seen the benefits of putting trust in my employees, and they perform better than I do. I've seen that firsthand, but there's still so many times I'll get a phone call from a potential lead that might be a big deal, and I have to watch it every single step through the process, make sure everything was done perfectly. And it's like we have a checklist in place for all this, and all I really need to say is just follow the checklist, please, as you get paid to do.
You want to be up here hovering, seeing.
Exactly.
You want to be the eye in the sky.
I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I've been the guy working for the employer who doesn't understand, who doesn't see things the way that I see it. Then I've been the solopreneur. I've done everything start to finish. Then I've been the entrepreneur. I've been growing the company. I've been the business owner that doesn't do anything. Like literally earlier today, I was in a networking group for the first time in months, and they needed help with Chromecast. And I've never used Chromecast before. I just, my techs do it. I just have tech people that do that for me. And they were like, oh, you're a tech guy. Go fix this. And I'm like sitting there for like 20 minutes trying to figure out their stupid Chromecast. And eventually got it to work. So I at least proved myself worthy. But like jumping back into the field and doing the work. And, I've been on both sides of the coin. And like, I can't imagine going back to working for someone else when I've experienced what I have now. And I see people who will say things, I've got 3 jobs and I hate my life. And being on this side of entrepreneurship, I just, I don't shove it down their throats, but I think to myself, that doesn't have to be your reality. Like, you can do more.
Here's the thing that has helped. I love being an entrepreneur. My father was an entrepreneur. I don't understand. I've been an employee. I've been a great employee. I've been a terrible employee. It's feed your mind with positivity and purpose, right? I know what my purpose is today, and I have a clear vision of it. I think most people don't have that. And if I could give anybody advice, which is crazy that I would, a person like me, because anybody that knows me from back in the day is like, dude, you're listening to Octavio Cifuentes? Are you nuts? That dude's a wacko, right? That guy's rep is terrible. For my first 25 years of my life, they're like, dude, that guy doesn't know anything, right? The truth is, if you don't love what you do, if you don't have passion for what you do, find something that moves you. Find something that gives you purpose. I know my why I wake up every morning. I know my purpose, and I know my vision. Because if you don't have a goal set or a line of sight where you're heading, you're wandering, right? So why wander when you could have direction and purpose, right? And that's it. I have a purpose in life, which is now, Recovery Through Repetition, which is our nonprofit. It fills my heart every day with how fast and how much people are adapting to it, or, receiving it and spreading the word all over the world, hopefully. And I put it out there because that's what I want. My dream is, FTX, but it's already where we're heading to, right? And my why is my family and my son, my future son. But I want to know what kind of life he wants to have. And I know what kind of father I want to be, right? But it has to be clear. Most people do not have a clear path. And that's cool because I was in college and I studied every single subject known to man, so I wouldn't get out ever. But you got to have an end game. What's the end game? What do you want to be like? I know we have one shot at this lifetime. One. We don't know how long it's going to be, right? So I want to be the best version I can be while I'm here, right? And I want to have some purpose. And when I'm dying, I don't want to have any regrets, right? That I didn't do enough. And that's it.
Yeah, and having direction too. Look at LeBron James. Like, how often is he practicing soccer?
Exactly.
It's not in line with what's important to him. He is one of the greatest basketball players of all time because he focuses on basketball and things that are related to basketball. And he doubles down in his zone of excellence. He's not just wandering and saying, I like sports, and then, okay, you're well-rounded in a lot of sports. Great, but you're not going to have a huge impact if you just kind of dabble in 70 different things.
Craft. Absolutely, absolutely, and get better. So here's, you know, I don't know if you ever heard of Kent Clothier, real
No, I
estate.
haven't, but I'll
So
look
this
into
guy,
him.
check him out. He's my mentor, my business coach, everything you want. But this guy had this scale and escape thing in San Diego, and one of the biggest speakers there was Jesse Isner, the owner, one of the co-owners of the Atlanta Hawks, the guy from Zico water, the coconut water that sold it to
Mm.
Coca-Cola for a couple hundred million, bought it for less than a million. You know, it's crazy
Had an
like that.
airplane company too, right?
Correct, Marquis Jets, that guy, and he sold it to
Well,
Warren Buffett.
and a Living with Seal, crazy book.
He's a New York Times bestseller, Living with the Sea with David Goggins. Exactly. So he put it so clearly to me, Andrew, that I was sitting down, you're sitting down all day and you're like, man, who am I going to listen to now? And all of a sudden he comes in, he's like, guys, it's very simple. If you don't align with my 4 buckets in life, I'm not wasting my time. He's like, think about time as an asset. It's the only thing you can't buy. You can't buy time. You can't do anything. If you don't really fit into my 4 buckets, it doesn't really work for me. So here's his 4 buckets. Family, right? Personal time, which is working out, running. He's a big runner. Community and business. And if you really take 10 minutes just to think about that, if you keep it to those 4 things, you have a lot on your plate anyway, right? But you start cutting out these things that really take up your time, that don't align with your craft or don't align with your purpose. Guess what you have? Clear vision to where you're headed. And I've applied that to that. Like I wrote down that night, I wrote down what my community looks like, what my family, because you could be choosy about what part of the family you want to deal with, right? So I do not waste time with people that are negative. I do not waste time with people that don't align with my, my vision and stuff like that. And that's it. It's hard to, like, some people don't fit into it. And they're like, hey, man, you've been distant. I was like, man, I don't have time for that. I'm sorry. I'm focused.
It kind of ties together with what we were saying, that if you're going to double down on what's important to you, I mean, there's so many people saying no is difficult. And one of my mentors in the past, like, his quote was, no is a full sentence. You don't have to give explanations. You don't have to dig into why this isn't alignment with anything.
No is a full sentence. I'm writing that down, dude. I might take it. I love it.
Hey, man, if you share it twice, it's yours.
Yeah.
Isn't that the rule?
Yeah, man. It's insane. It's insane, man. The power of the word no. And for me, because I'm a people pleaser, right? I really feel wrong when someone's not liking me. And that's a character defect. And I've been working on it with my therapist and stuff like that. But the power of those 2 letters is liberating. Man, it's completely liberating. And it changes everything.
Everybody wants to be liked. I don't exactly buy into the people that just, oh yeah, like, I'm a dick and everyone hates me. I mean, I guess, different strokes for different folks. But I do think that there's some levels where you just need to identify that this is not beneficial to me, and being willing to cut it out and move in a better direction with your purpose. I think that's, the underlying theme of everything is find what's important to you and then stay in that lane.
Stay in that lane and clear that vision. You got to make it clear. What does that look like? Like, what's your perfect day look like in your perfect life? Right? You can't put, hey, man, I'm going to be there tomorrow. No, it takes work, right? And it takes commitment. Just like love does, just like everything else in life, everything is commitment and discipline. You commit to being better. You commit to going after what you want in life. And once you have that, you will have your purpose, right? When nobody wants to go work out, what's your purpose? Oh, I want to do this. Okay, so let's be healthy. How am I going to live there? How do I want to achieve helping millions of people that don't have the resources or the income to get healthier. How can I get that to her? Okay, so recovery through repetition. How do we do it? No. So
that's incredible. Octavio, I could go on forever with you, man. Where can people find you to learn out more?
Check me out. Follow me on Instagram. It's cifuentes.octavio.com. Follow us on Recovery Through Repetition and FTX Wellness on FTX Wellness and Performance on Insta, man. That'd be great. We're doing the launch of RPS in the next 3 weeks. Check that out. It's gonna be really, really cool, man. I hope you guys, again, thank you for having me, man. We could always talk about entrepreneurship and sobriety all day long.
Thank you so much for listening to Self-Made and Sober. Be sure to join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/SMC Mastermind, like Self-Made Coaching Mastermind. I hope you enjoyed the show, and be sure to subscribe and rate the show so you can get notified each Friday when we put out a new episode.